Alongside 24/7 Sports Director of Scouting and Drive-Ins and National Recruiting Analyst Tom Loy, I am Blair Angulo. I'm here, and we're here to discuss the Texas Longhorns 2026 recruiting class ahead of the early signing period. And Drew, this is a class that is pacing for another top 10 finish and really bringing in a lot of key difference makers. What is kind of a player that you look at when you see that commitment list and you see, oh, this guy's going to make plays on the field next fall?
Oh man, it's my guy in the class, Jermaine Bishop. We list him as an athlete. I think pound for pound, there might not be a better football player in the class of 2026 than Jermaine Bishop. And guys, usually, I like these two-way superstars on defense, but Jermaine Bishop's the one where I like him on offense at wide receiver. He's done a little bit of everything on Friday nights. He's played some running back. He's played some quarterback. He's played safety. He's played corner. He's returned kicks. He's punted. He has done it all. But I think as a slot receiver, this guy is electric. He moves at a different speed than others. And, I've been searching for a player comp for Jermaine Bishop. And boys, I've settled on Malachi Toney at Miami, the breakout freshman. I think there's some similarities here, right? They aren't the biggest individuals. They don't have the best testing data, but you turn on the tape, you get the ball in their hands, and they are making plays. So to me, Jermaine Bishop, a name to know. And, look, Arch Manning has gotten these receivers involved as the season has progressed. I think Jermaine Bishop has what it takes to push for meaningful minutes in the rotation right away, because I don't think Texas really has anything like him on the roster.
Look, for the fans out there, we don't cross-reference this ahead of time. I absolutely knew you were going to pick Jermaine Bishop, but he's your guy, but I still couldn't find myself picking anybody else. I got to go with five-star athlete Jermaine Bishop. I mean, I don't know if he's a corner, safety, receiver in college. I don't really care. He's special. Get him on the field as early and as often as you can. I remember seeing him on the 7-on-7 and circuit a ton, and everybody's just watching and raving about Keyshawn Henderson. They played on the same team, and rightfully so. But I'm telling you, it was Bishop that was making a ton of plays on both sides of the ball and looking like Travis Hunter in a lot of ways. So if you've never had the pleasure to watch this kid in person, you are genuinely missing out. But I'm telling you, he is going to be a household name in college football very quickly upon arrival.
Bishop, a great choice. For variants, I'm going to go with Richard Wesley, the edge rusher from Sierra Canyon down in Chatsworth, California. Remember, flipped from Oregon in that high-profile recruiting battle. This is a player who reclassified in 2026. He's actually originally from the 2027 class. And, it might be a gamble for me to mention his name because the data points that this is not maybe the wisest choice. Those players that reclassify up usually have a tougher time making an impact, but I think he's just too savvy as a pass rusher. He's got an immense tool set and physically already there, about 6'5", 250. So this isn't a player that you're going to really have to pour a lot of resources into. I think he's going to be ready to step on the field early on. Made a splash in his recruiting process. Boys, I think he's going to make a splash on the field early on there in Austin. Tom, the quarterback outlook looks really good, despite the fact that we might be wondering what life after Arch will look like for the Longhorns. They're bringing in one of the nation's best in this class.
They got a good one in five-star quarterback Diabell, a guy we all know very well. We've seen him throw it around. I think I saw him camp at Notre Dame, maybe 8th grade, 9th grade, something like that when I was still covering the Fighting Irish. And the potential was there. He was super raw, a long way to go, just physically not there. But, man, he has been on this rocket ship ever since. Really, really cool to see for the kid because he works tremendously hard. So, and on that same note, like for a recruiting nugget here, he wanted the Notre Dame offer early on, and he would very likely be in this class if they pushed for him. They went another direction. But shout out to AJ Milwee, Steve Sarkisian, those guys at Texas, because they targeted Diabell, got it done, and landed his commitment back in June of 2024. So really, really good job to make him a priority. Not even a priority, just the priority in Austin. So I think he's still scratching the surface of how good he's going to be. He's got a great work ethic. So Texas fans should be fired up about Diabell.
Tom, you didn't even mention Elite 11 Finals MVP. I think super clean mechanically. My comp, and this is aging very well, is Dante Moore, the Oregon quarterback. And you dig into these guys' measurements at the same stage, it's like identical to the 1/8 of an inch, Dante Moore and Diabell. It's unfortunate. Hey, the past 2 seasons have been cut short due to injury. So we haven't gotten Diabell in the playoffs, but he's coming out of an American Heritage program that has a ton of guys playing on Sundays. Obviously, he's the son of former NBA guard Raja Bell. I still think it's notable that, Diabell has shed that tag. We never talk about, hey, his dad was one of the best to do it in the NBA. So to me, what always stands out about Diabell is just the confidence in the pocket. He does not panic, right? He's a guy that sees the field so well. I was at one of the only games he played as a senior. His team was down 4 touchdowns at halftime, rallies them for a 31-point comeback victory on a last-second field goal on national television. Texas should be excited about what they are getting in Diabell.
You mentioned the Elite 11 finals. I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback display the type of footwork that Diabell showed. I think he was really impressive in the pocket, really steady. And when you bring up the Dante Moore comp, I definitely see it because he's going to be really composed, and I don't think a lot is going to face him. It looks like he's playing the game in slow motion. And you think about some of the quarterbacks that Steve Sarkisian has had in the past. He's going to have some ice in his veins. I think he's going to be a perfect fit for what the Longhorns want to do at that position. Drew, going back to you, give me an unsung gem in this class that you are super, super high on heading into the fall.
Kosi Okpala, and he's a top 64 player for us, but he made the biggest debut of anyone in our most recent top 247 rankings. I think he's got the best bend in the class. I mean, we turned on the senior tape and it was like, whoa, this dude is a little bit different. Still kind of new to the game of football. Someone I just wish we had more data points on, more exposure to, because he might have, a round one ceiling. I think you can play him on the ball. I think you can play him off the ball. And I think about Texas, what they've done on defense, the Colin Simmons, the Anthony Hill, these guys that can pin their ears back and go get the quarterback on third down while offering, the ability to drop into space on first and second down. I think Kosi Okpala can do that. He's got an 85 speed score from Next Gen Prospects. He's got an 81-inch wingspan. Oh, and he's got a 10-foot broad jump. Sign me up, Kosi Okpala. I love this kid.
My unsung gem, my underrated prospect in Texas class is top 247 cornerback Samari Smoke Matthews. I mean, this guy is a little different, and I mean that in the most complimentary way. I mean, he's got this quiet confidence, this arrogance in a good way that he believes he's the number one cornerback, number one player in the country. And when you get around him, when you watch him work, it's really hard to bet against him. So he's just one of those guys you buy into, and he's a guy that you expect to be a stud at the next level. So 6 foot, 200 pounds, right in that ballpark, just tremendous ball skills, outstanding technique, very advanced. I'm just a huge fan of Samari Smoke Matthews.
I really like Rocky Cummings, and this was a late flip from Cal. He took a late official visit to Austin and gave the Longhorns that pledge quickly thereafter. I actually just saw him in the CIF San Diego Section Championship game where he played both ways. He's a really heady linebacker, plays aggressive. I love what he's able to do near the line of scrimmage as a pass rusher, but he can cover as well. And you see that athleticism translate over to the offensive side where he plays a little bit of H-back, a little bit of tight end, really long. Drew, you actually texted me about him a few weeks ago and said, hey, what about this Rocky Cummings? Well, I had only seen him at the Under Armour Camp Series stop in Southern California. That's a lot of testing. There's no physicality there. There's no tackling. But then you watch the film and then you see him in person. You see a player with immense upside. I love that pickup for the Longhorns late in the cycle, especially to be able to get a flip out west, a place that they like to go into very often. Tom, going back to you, maybe just the grand scope look at Texas and what they did in this class. Mentioned at the top, another top 10 finish on deck for Steve Sarkisian. What do you feel about this group as a whole?
It's easy to say this. They're ranked number 8 at the time of this recruiting. I mean, at the time of this recording. I'm just a really big fan of this class as a whole. It's loaded with potential difference makers. I mean, the top of the class, we talked about a lot of the guys. It's really strong, but I really like the bottom half of the class as well. Tight end Charlie Gillick, running back Jet Walker. These are guys that are recent additions for the Longhorns. These guys can absolutely play and should not be looked at as just depth pieces or additions to the class. All in all, when you kind of pair this group with the number one group that they brought in 2025, I would genuinely be shocked at this point, especially with Diabell leading the charge, if a national championship wasn't in their future over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way. I know, Blair, you keep saying, hey, top 10 class. Tom just brought up the number 1 ranked class. To me, it kind of feels like a little bit of a step back. I mean, yeah, they won the recruiting belt championship last year. The number 6 in 2024, number 3 in 2023, number 5 in 2022. Tom said it 8th right now. They're certainly not done with a few days to go here before December 3rd. But to me, I thought Texas was going to try to repeat as number 1. So when I look at the visitors list, the guy that they brought in this past summer, does this class look different if they are able to finish with a Felix Ojo and he doesn't end up at Texas Tech? So, I think there are some certain difference makers, some guys that could be all SEC type of players. We've talked about Jermaine Bishop. We talked about Diabell. How about Tyler Atkinson, one of the best linebackers in the country? At the same time, though, I thought we'd get a little bit more after the college football playoff appearances from Texas. And, really, I think where my mind goes to is that offensive line group. We saw it early on in the year for Texas. They struggled up front to protect Arch Manning. They've kind of righted the ship there. But the offensive line recruiting, I think they need to get more of these blue chippers from the high school ranks.
I think you both bring up really good points. And remember what Steve Sarkisian said when he was hired at the start of 2021. He said, we all want Texas to be back. We all believe that Texas should be back. And I think there is a good marriage there because the expectations have been raised to a level now where getting the 8th best class maybe not really great, right? Or maybe there's kind of a shortcoming there where you think, okay, what's wrong with Texas? But I think they've done enough there to change things up and to really kind of make a big difference. This is a program that now is recruiting at a different level, different scale. And, I think those expectations now, when they're able to succeed and exceed those, obviously it kind of shows on paper. This has been our quick hit look at the Texas Longhorns 2026 recruiting class ahead of the early signing period. For more on the Texas Longhorns and their recruiting efforts, make sure you stay locked in to Horns 24/7 and keep it right here on the College Football Recruiting channel on YouTube.